Hey there everyone, this is Joe from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au, selling you the best gold and silver bullion bars and coins shipped to you worldwide from Melbourne, Australia. This is your weekly precious metals technical analysis where we take a look at the big four: gold, silver, platinum and palladium. Of course, you know the YouTube page, subscribe, and you know the Instagram.com/bullionnow. Follow. That's all I'm going to do for the plugs for this week because we've got a lot to talk about. Another interesting move in the precious metals to the upside. We are looking very nice and pretty at the moment, I think, but let's quickly go back. We'll take a look at the week that was, and then we'll take a look at what are the price targets that could come up going to the upside and going to the downside. So let's start with gold. Let's track back 7 days. We're here on the daily time frame. This is the tradingview.com website. It's in US dollars, but we'll take a quick look at gold in Australian dollars as well, very quickly, and maybe silver in Australian dollars as well, seeing as though we are based in Australia. But let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we were still within this triangle pattern right here. We had not broken out of it, but not too long after I posted the video last Thursday, we saw a nice breakout, and it's exactly what you wanted to see. In that trading range, and then it needed to make a decision either way at some point. The closer it gets to here, the more it needs to make that decision, but it decided to break out earlier, and we've seen, let's see, all the way up to a high so far of 1452. And let's say 1453. This is using one particular, metric. So different markets might be slightly different just by, a few cents or something like that. So 1452 so far. And what do we see now? Let me just pop that down there. What we've seen is a retracement back down to this downtrend line. It's done it a couple of times. So we broke up, then came back down and tested. We made a play to go back into the triangle, but it was a failed move. So we headed back up, a fast move up to the 1453, then back down to test, and then we've just been sort of skirting on this line. So that's actually a positive sign for me. We have yet to, and we haven't yet. We have yet to, and we haven't yet. That's the same thing. We've yet to break back down significantly down into the triangle pattern right here. Am I saying we will not do that? No, but it's good to see this movement as of right now. So let's punch out onto the weekly and see how it's looking that way. So let me get rid of that and that. That's looking like we could have maybe a potential little bit more of a retracement back down. But if we punch out onto the monthly, it's just looking really nice in my opinion. Of course, none of this is financial advice, and you've got to do your own research. And this is just my opinion, of course. Let's talk about moving down very quickly. If this is a decent spike or a decent enough spike, and then we see some lower prices, we'd be looking at, and I've mentioned this 1,000 times already, but we could be looking at a move back down to approximately 1375. You might hit this trend line right here. Depends where it hits, but if it does it in the next month, in this upcoming months of August, you'd be looking at approximately 1360, roughly, moving down from there. Maybe it might touch right here on the 18 average of highs on the monthly time frame, and that's at possibly 1330 roughly. So those are the targets moving down. Targets moving higher. I've showed you these a few times. We're looking at possibly the psychological value of 1500, but I think more likely you're looking at this area right here, which has been an area of support, which is at approximately 1530, so $1,530. So that is a potential for the next couple of moves moving higher. Let's take a quick look at gold in the Australian dollar. XAUAUD, just very quickly now. For my internationals watching this, you won't be as interested, but look, check it out. We are in, unfortunately, it doesn't go back to earlier on this particular metric, but we have been and we are in all-time high territory in Australian dollars. And that's because of the Australian dollar, US dollar exchange rate currently. It's different than it was back in 2013 when we saw the previous large high. So we're in all-time high territory right now, currently at $2,040 in Australian dollars. That's per ounce. And do we have room to move down? Well, look, it looks like we're moving higher. If we were to move back down, the next logical level would be all the way down here at probably 1890, 1900 roughly. But look, it's looking pretty positive. Let's have a quick look on the weekly. Right here, yeah, that's looking like a nice setup. If we do have a very short-term retracement, maybe down to the 18 average of highs based on the weekly time frame, and that's at about 1975. But look, all signs are pointing to upward in this particular time frame. And as you know, at the moment, and I still am, 51% bias to the upside. You know, I don't like to be sort of more than skirting the fence usually, because I don't want to be, you know, Mr. Predictor guy. So that is gold on both the US and the Australian dollar time frame. Let's go back to silver. We'll take a look at the US, and then we'll go take a quick look at the Australian. Silver has been even more wonderful. Let's take a look on the daily. 7 days ago, where were we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere within this range. So I did the last video somewhere within the range of 1550 to 16. Now I think it was closer to down here because I was suggesting that I think the next, no, it was up in here actually. The last time it was somewhere between this range and this range last time I did. I remember that. Now it was around about here at about 1580, something like that. So we had yet to break through. So we've seen that breakthrough, and I was talking about, I'll show you on the weekly, I have been talking about a move up to this trend line right here. I think we're still on that pathway. I think we still could hit that before we see major resistance, and we will see some major resistance at some point, and we will see a retracement on the weekly time frame. I think we still have room to moving up to approximately between $17 and $17.20, and that's skirting around about here. As you can see, that's at about 1730 roughly. But if we hit this trend line, doing it in the next week, maybe in the next week or 2 weeks, you're looking at about between 17 and 17.30. So that's my call. If we're moving higher from here, between $17 and $17.30 for the resistance to come into play, and then we'll see a retracement, a very healthy retracement back down, and we would likely see a retracement back down to this area right here, previous resistance, and we'll see that at support at approximately $16.20. So trading within sort of a $1, $1.10, $1.20 kind of range within the next couple of weeks if we are moving higher. If we tend to break down further, well, then you're looking here at about 1590, and I've mentioned all the other ones before moving down, so I'll get you to watch the previous videos on that to the downside. But 51% chance we are moving higher from here, as I said, between $17 to $17.30 before the next major resistance right here. Let's have a look at silver very quickly on the Australian dollar time frame, XAGAUD. And can you see the difference, gang? See, again, for my internationals, for people who, you know, particularly in the States who are following this, look at the difference between the US price and the Australian price. Again, that's going to have to do with the US AUD exchange rate back here when it was, so when, I'll show you very quickly. When, back in 2013, when silver hit, where are we? Is the 2013 right here? Back in 2013, when silver hit $50 USD, at the same time, in where are we? Gold. That's gold. No, right here, XAG. Back here in 2000, and we don't go back to 2013. Unfortunately, this one doesn't. But back here, we were at about the same price. So we hit about 48.49 Australian dollars. So it was at about parity. That's because the US Australian dollar exchange rate was almost 1-to-1. It was pretty close back then. But now we've seen a drop. We've seen a change in it. So we're seeing higher prices in Australian dollars. So we're currently hitting at about $23.77. This is based on Australian dollars, and a very clear, as you can see, breakthrough previous resistance here at $22.80, and even this one here at $23. It's looking very likely, if silver is moving higher in USD, which I think it will, then it's obviously going to move higher in Australian. Where those prices hit, I think it's mainly based on the USD price. So it's harder to give exact kind of targets for the Australian dollar, because it really, the US dollar moves the price, I think, mainly, and sort of Australian dollar sort of goes along with it. But look, talking about right about here at the $24.70 mark roughly, but just giving you an indication of, you know, what it's doing on the Australian dollar time frame. If we were to move back down, maybe approximately back down to $22.60, $23, something like that. So that's the Australian dollar. Just taking a look at it very quickly. It's looking very healthy in my opinion. That is silver and gold. While we're here, we'll take a look at the gold to silver ratio. Then we'll move on to platinum and palladium. Where are we? Gold to silver. Look at all my other stuff here. Look at the steep drop. Look at that. A high of, and the gold to silver ratio of 94 or 93.5, all the way down to currently 85.7. Let's have a look on the monthly. And I was talking about last week, and maybe even the week before, could we come back down to visit the 18 average of highs on the monthly time frame, and that was at about 86 something. We certainly have, and we've broken down through it. That's mainly because gold has stayed where it is roughly, and silver has gained in terms of its position with gold. So that's why we're seeing a drop. So the price gap between gold and silver is narrowing. It's getting closer to each other, and that means this ratio number drops. If you want to find out more about the gold to silver ratio, I would highly suggest you watch the following video right here. Why is the gold to silver ratio so important? You really want to stay on top of the gold to silver ratio and potentially play in and out of gold, depending on what that ratio number is. But just watch that video right here. I'll put a card link to it above. You should see it coming up right about now. You should see that flash across the top right-hand corner of the screen. And could we move down further? Yeah, absolutely. We could move down further to the 18 average of lows right here at about 83. The traditional sort of range is somewhere between sort of 50 and 60 is kind of the general range. So we're definitely in high territory there. So that's gold to silver ratio. Let's move on to platinum. Platinum's played out just like I thought it might have. So let's take a quick look at that. XPT USD. We will not look at platinum or palladium on the Australian time frame. That's just gold and silver. Last week, let's see, on the weekly. Last week we were, actually, you know what? I should go to the daily just to see where we were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we just sort of broken up through this little level here of 850 roughly. And I was talking about, interestingly, the next level might be at around about this level right here. This was not drawn in just before this video. This has been drawn in for a couple of videos, at least a few videos, if you've been watching this regularly, at about 875. And I thought we might have a move up to about this move at about 875. Why? Well, because it was previous resistance here, then it became previous support a couple of times here, and then a little bit here as well. So it's definitely an area to watch. And what do you know, in the last 7 days, we've seen a spike all the way up to, well, what's technically the high is 830. That is very much close enough for Jazz on my call of last week and the week before as well. I think it was definitely last week. So what could happen from here? If we keep going higher from here, you're going to be looking at we'll be talking about the triangle pattern right here. Better if I pop into the weekly so you can see it a little better. Right there, that's better. You can see this triangle pattern right here. We could bump up against this, and that could become resistance before we see a retracement. And we will see a retracement, I think, from here, definitely. In my opinion, we have come up pretty high. We do need to see a little bit of resistance, a little bit of retracement, I should say, a bit of healthy retracement. And I think this level right here at about 875 could be it. But if it doesn't, we'll, as I said, we might come up to about approximately here, which is at about, 885 roughly. If we happen to just completely smash through it, then obviously the next resistance level, you're looking at about $915. I don't think that's in play just yet, of course. Not financial advice, do your own research, but I'm going to suggest resistance here at 875, and then head down for a brief bit of retracement. So the next level could be the 18 average of highs on the weekly time frame, and that's at approximately right now, or about 853, 854. But of course, you've got this level right here, which we broke through of about 845, 846. So that's the next levels we could break down to. Breaking down further, you've got this level here at 830. And of course, if we just continue all the way down, and I've been speaking about it for a while, but the bottom end of this triangle pattern, and it just depends when it hit. If it did it within the next, let's say the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you'd be looking at approximately $810. So those are my calls for the upside and to the downside. If we have some crazy move in platinum though, and we just continue even higher and higher, the next couple of levels are at approximately 955 and approximately, well, you could look at about 1,013, 1,014, $15, something like that. So that is platinum, very interesting to watch. And lastly, palladium. It looks like possibly we could be on a move back up. I'm not saying that is going to happen at all, but maybe we take a look at the daily is the best idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, hovering around 1525. We've seen that drop off from about 1600, have yet to break through the all-time high of 1615. Is this a double top? Yeah, possibly. Let's take a look at, as I was just on the weekly. But that's looking a little positive. If we break up from up to and past the level here of 15, I'm going to call it, if we break up past 1570, then we are no longer in a double top formation. I don't think that would happen. And then it would be sailing upwards from here. So we really do need to see it break through, I would say again, about 1570. Anywhere through 1570, and then I would be confident we will be heading up from here. If we are not heading up from here, I was talking about the double top. If I pop on the monthly, maybe that might help. Yeah, as you can see, if this is a double top, what we would see is a move back down, and we need to move all the way back down to this level here of what, 1270 roughly, and significantly we'll just pop through it, and then that would be right back down to a couple of levels. The next level would be the previous all-time high of 1150, or somewhere between there and 1100. And moving higher from here, we've been talking about it for the last few weeks, but moving higher from here, I think the next level would be the psychological value of 2000, because we've never hit 2000 before. So if you've never hit a number before, and it's one of those kind of round, even numbers, it's much more a psychological play than if you'd previously hit it before and then had a retracement, then come back up to it, if that makes sense. So because it hasn't been previous resistance, 2000 psychological value in my opinion, and blue sky thinking up from there. The next level would be the 2.618 Fibonacci of 2650 roughly, but that's not coming any time soon, I don't think. Just watch that $2,000 level for moving higher, and I've given you my levels moving down, and that is gold, silver, platinum, and palladium for this week. Of course, you do want to hit the big red subscribe button on youtube.com/Bullion Now. We have hit over 300 subscribers, and as soon as we did, we got like 5 or 6 extra subscribers in one day. So things seem to be moving fuller steam ahead, if that makes sense. We just did a pretty cool little epic, I called it actually a semi-epic unboxing of a PAMP 1 kilo silver bar monster box, because we checked on YouTube and no one had done one before. I checked through like 50 of the first page, 50 searches, and nothing. So, they're just PAMP bars, but you may as well just watch a PAMP monster box being opened. There's 15 of them, and you can see how they come packaged from PAMP Swiss, etc. Our auction is still live right here, auction number 27 for a Perth Mint 1987 Australian Nugget gold coin set, bullion coin set. And this one here you really want to check out, which is why every dealer should have an XRF machine. What's an XRF machine? What's this funny contraption here? Click on it and you'll find out why every dealer should have one. That is it, gang. Of course, follow us on Instagram. And as I always say every week, stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon.